Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, a goofy fairy tale, based on the episode written by Ashley Mendoza, adapted by Bill Scollin, illustrated by Loader Inc. "Hiya, everybody," says Mickey. "Welcome to the Clubhouse Library. Tonight is story night. Mickey is going to read a bedtime story." "Aw, shucks," says Goofy. "I thought it was magic night." "How will we decide which story to read?" Minnie wonders. "I'll use magic to pick a book," says Goofy. "Book-a-doodle-doo, fly away and shoo!" Oh no! Goofy uses the wrong magic words. All the stories disappear. "Golly," he says, "I goofed up." Mickey asks Professor Von Drake if he knows where the stories went. "They're in a gold storybook in the land of fairy tales," says the professor. Outside, the professor opens a magic door to the land of fairy tales. "The gold storybook is in the castle of the beast," says the professor. "It has 3 shapes on its cover: a heart, a diamond, and a rose." Oops! Goofy slips and falls through the magic door. A wall of glass slams shut. "Hoo boy," says the professor. "My remote control went kaput. Goofy's stuck." "Oh dear," Daisy says. "Goofy can't get the gold storybook by himself." "He'll just goof up," adds Donald. "I'm sure you can do it, pal," Mickey tells Goofy. "Good luck." Dressed in his new fairy tale clothes, Goofy starts down a path. But before long, the path splits in 2. "Gosh," says Goofy, "which way leads to the beast's castle?" "Go right," answers a tiny voice. Goofy is so surprised he falls to the ground. "You're a goofy fella," says a small knight. "Goofy fella," laughs Goofy. "That'll be my fairy tale name." "We're Chip and Dale Thumb," Chip, the small knight, says. "But we've got to go," adds Dale Thumb. "Big problem at the castle." "Okay," says Goofy fella. "See ya." Soon Goofy fella comes upon Pied Piper Donald and Pluto, the merry dog. They're trying to lead ducklings to a pond. "They won't follow me," says Pied Piper Donald. Goofy fella tries to teach Pied Piper Donald a new song to play. But he drops the flute and it breaks into pieces. "Sorry," he says. "Oh, Toodles!" Toodles' cousin Goofles comes to help with 4 mouse-catools: suction cups, sticky tape, an oar, and a mystery mouse-catool. Goofy fella chooses the tape to fix the flute. It works! When Pied Piper Donald plays the new song, the ducklings line up and follow him. "Thanks, Goofy fella," says Pied Piper Donald. "You're welcome," says Goofy fella. "How do I get to the castle?" "Just go through the woods," says Pied Piper Donald. "Bye-bye." Deep in the woods, Goofy fella gets lost and runs into Hansel and Gretel Mouse. They're lost too. "Maybe somebody in that house can help us," says Goofy fella. "No," Gretel Mouse warns. "That's the witch's house." Just then, a voice calls, "Hello!" It's Witch Clarabelle. "Are you a good witch?" asks Goofy fella. "Oh, yes," laughs Witch Clarabelle. "I'm not scary at all." Witch Clarabelle asks Goofy fella for help. She's making a big batch of merry muffins, but she can't find her mixing spoon. Goofy fella calls for Goofles and chooses the oar. "It's like a big wooden spoon," says Witch Clarabelle. "It's moo-arvelous." Goofy fella accidentally knocks a basket of berries right into the batter. "Gosh," he says, "I'm such a goof." No, that's just what my batter needs, says Witch Clarabelle. I like being helpful, says Goofy Fella, but I need to get to the castle. Just follow the diamond shapes, says Witch Clarabelle. Goofy Fella says goodbye and hurries on his way. The diamond shapes lead Goofy Fella to a hill made of crystal. At the top is the Beast's castle. It's kinda scary looking, says Goofy Fella, but I'm not afraid. I'm going to climb up there and get the gold storybook. The hill is super slippery. Whoopsie! Looks like I need a mouse-catool, says Goofy Fella. Oh, Goofles! Goofles has 2 mouse-catools left, the suction cups and the mystery mouse-catool. Goofy Fella chooses the suction cups. He puts them on his shoes and marches right up the hill. Goofy Fella sees Chip and Dale Thumb at the castle door. We've come to rescue Daisy Beauty, Dale Thumb tells him. But we're so small, says Chip Thumb. The beast can't hear us knocking. I'll just ring this bell, Goofy Fella says. But he pulls on the rope too hard. Beast Pete comes to the door. What do you want? He roars. We want you to let Daisy Beauty go, says Chip Thumb. It's not nice to keep her locked inside, says Goofy Fella. I know, Beast Pete admits. I just wanted a friend. Well, let's have a party, Goofy Fella says. That's a good way to make friends. Beast Pete is delighted. There will be music and dancing, he says, and I'll invite everyone to come. Beast Pete turns to Daisy Beauty. Will you be my guest? He politely asks. Daisy Beauty sees that Beast Pete is really very kind. Yes, she answers. We can be friends, too. All of a sudden, Beast Pete turns into a prince. Daisy Beauty's friendship broke the spell. Everyone enjoys the party, especially Prince Pete. I owe this all to you, Goofy Fella, he says. How can I repay you? Well, I'm looking for the gold storybook, Goofy Fella says. If the book is in my library, says Prince Pete, it's yours. Prince Pete's library is stacked high with books. What does the gold storybook look like? He asks. It's decorated with 3 shapes, says Goofy Fella. A heart, a diamond, and a rose. I see it, shouts Daisy Beauty. But it's up so high. I know just what to do, says Goofy Fella. Oh, Goofles! The mystery mouse-catool is a bunch of balloons. Goofy Fella holds on to them and floats up in the air. He floats to the top shelf and grabs the gold storybook. I've got it, shouts Goofy Fella. But how am I going to get down? Chip and Dale Thumb come to the rescue, popping the balloons one at a time. Goofy Fella safely drifts back to the ground. Great job, says Prince Pete. It's time for Goofy Fella to go home. Prince Pete asks Rosalie the dragon to give Goofy Fella a ride. Goofy Fella holds the gold storybook tight and waves goodbye to his new friends. Wah-ha-ha-hooey! At the clubhouse, the professor finally gets the remote control working. He presses the button and the glass door opens. Rosalie flies up to the magic door and Goofy steps right through. Goofy, yells Mickey, you did it! I sure did, says Goofy, just in time for a story before Betty Bye. Mickey opens the gold storybook and the missing stories fly back into their books. Woohoo! Cheers Goofy. So, what story are we gonna hear? We want to hear your story, Daisy says. How'd you find the book? Well, begins Goofy. I guess you could say, I found it in my own goofy way. Thanks for stopping by, says Mickey. Good night.